Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. And before I get started, of course at the end of the video we do talk about the viewer's pick of the week, so in the comments below let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured on the episode. Now let's get started. I had a pretty average size haul, and number 11 for me this week was Night Terror's Superman issue 2. Honestly, out of all the Night Terrors books, this is the one I was most enjoying, next to The Flash, and I feel like issue 2 really dropped out gear, where I think it focused on way too many nightmares. You got Supergirl in there, you had Superman, you had Lois, and them dealing with all their trauma, and I just felt like there wasn't as much of a focus, and once again, it kind of ends with, do you want to see more? It's not over. Go check out Superman or go check out this one shot. We're actually going to talk about a Night Terrors book that did come out this week that actually finished it all, which is why I enjoyed it a bit more. I did like the artwork for this one though, and I didn't dislike any of my books this week. They just so happened to be my last pick. So number 11, 2.5 stars, is Superman Night Terrors. Moving on to number 10, which is the last issue of Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky's run. I am not a huge fan of this run, or at least this volume. I liked the first volume, then I think it got a little cut up with the event and never really found its footing again. And, it wraps up things. If you've been enjoying the run, you'll continue to like the ending. We get to see Daredevil as a priest. We get to see Elektra being Daredevil. We get to see what's going on with Foggy. So if you want to kind of get an epilogue of it, here it is. But there's nothing, I think, too mind-blowing with this issue, even if you've been following the series and enjoying it. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars. Artwork is still very solid for this book. I liked how distinct the style is, but that is number 10. All right, moving on to number 9, a book that I want to like more than I do, and that's X-Men Days of Futures Past, Doomsday, issue 2. I'm a huge Kitty Pryde fan. Obviously, this is a big Kitty Pryde event, and I'm curious about what direction they've been taking these. Let's revisit these iconic events. And most of the time, they're just kind of nostalgic trips. If you really, really enjoy those series, you get a little bit more depth from them, or maybe a little bit more of a future from them. But overall, I don't think it really breaks any new ground in any way. And I do feel like they're a bit of cash grabs. And that's the feeling I'm getting with this one. I don't think there's anything that revolutionary with this series. I'm like, whoa, I need to get that next issue. But if you really love Days of Futures Past, then you should go check it out. But I haven't been really feeling the nostalgia trips from Marvel, besides maybe 1 or 2 series here and there. So overall, giving that one 3 stars. Not a bad issue, but just not exactly for me, even as a Kitty Pryde fan. All right, moving on to number 8. This is a tough one. So this is What If Dark Moon Knight, issue 1. I don't know if I've ever even read a Moon Knight book. I might have read 1 or 2 over the past years, and this is very much for Moon Knight fans. I did not know who the blonde girl was the whole entire time, and it doesn't really take any time to explain who these characters are. It's just like, here's Moon Knight, he's dead, here's the new Moon Knight, let's see what this journey takes us in. Artwork is okay. It's a little scratchy here, places here and there, a little sketchy. It's a little harder of a book for me to review because I have literally no baggage with Moon Knight, and I just don't think this book helps for that or helps you become a fan of Moon Knight. So overall, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 8, I believe. Moving on to number 7, the headline of this video. That's Spider-Man issue 11. Was Spider-Boy worth all the hype? We kind of figure out who this Spider-Boy is. You get a little bit of his origin stories. It's more of an issue 0 to what's coming next with Spider-Boy. Also, Dan Slott's going to be writing Superior Spider-Man again, and this is the end of this series, which I didn't even know was ending until like yesterday. And I was kind of expecting a bigger moment with Spider-Boy, saying like, this is Harry's long-lost son, or this is Peter's cousin, It's like, oh yeah, I remember him. And they kind of come up with the idea of, what happened in Spider-Verse, the Web of Life, well, this strand was cut, that's why you forgot me, I've always been here. And let's see who this new character is. And, there's a side of me, and why this is still middle of the road in this list, is there's a side of me is like, yes, Spider-Man is doing something different. I appreciate the excitement. It almost has this Punchline feel to it where, yeah, was Punchline the best character in the world? No, but it was really cool to see the hype around her. It was cool that people wanted that comic, got excited for that comic, and I'm feeling the same with Spider-Boy. As Spider-Boy, had a reason for all this hype as a character? No, but it's something different, and Marvel's just trying to introduce a new character in a franchise where there's a lot of not new characters and just a lot of recycled storylines. So it's cool that they're doing something different. On the flip side, I don't know if I like Spider-Boy. I don't know if who Spider-Boy's try to be targeted towards. Is this? I almost feel like it's a kids book, right? Like, when the only example I really have, and this is already a kids franchise, but Power Rangers, right? When Power Rangers aged up, they were teenagers and then they got older, they had a new season, and they're like, wait, kids are watching this, we should probably have a character that is a kid, and it didn't work out for them. And that's kind of the flavor I'm seeing here too, is like, okay, like, we kind of want kids to read Spider-Man again. Let's bring someone their age and write a kid that we think kids do. And that's the thing that I don't know if it meets my expectations on that, but the art's good. I like the storytelling. I will pick up the first issue of Spider-Boy. I just don't know if this book and this character specifically is for me. So giving that 3 stars, and I say, if I had to answer that question, I don't think Spider-Boy met the hype on this issue. All right, moving on to number 6, which is Night Terror's Nightwing issue 2. That's a lot of knights in there. And this was the one I was alluding to with Superman. So what I liked about this issue is that it did feel a little bit more continuous. We got to see the traumas of Stephanie and Cassandra a little bit, and Oracle, but it mostly was focused on Nightwing. And by the end, there actually is a conclusion. It's no, like, you should check out Nightwing, or you should check out this one shot. It's like, oh yeah, that was a bad nightmare. I'm not going to forget that one. And these are traumas I'm dealing with. Is there any new territory that's being explored here? Absolutely not. I don't know if it's like a perfect Nightwing issue, but I like the art. I like the direction a little bit more, and I just thought it was a smoother ride. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 6. So moving on to number 5, a book I've really been surprised by, and that's Tales of the Titans, issue 2. I'm not even a Raven fan, and I was interested in this because what I like about these Tales of Titans is that they very much are going for character stories. Starfire, I thought, was spectacular. Even if you're not a Starfire fan, you learn something about her, but you also see where her future is going. And same thing for Raven. I honestly, out of every Titans character, between her and Beast Boy, I've never been a big fan of those characters, and I tend not to like mythical magic styled storytelling. And this is very mythical, this is very magic driven, but there's this core of Raven saying, hey, I'm part of this group that used to be called the Teen Titans. I'm seeing everyone around me becoming adults and growing up. Am I growing up? And what does that mean with my relationship with my dad, my relationship with my mom, who kind of had to grow up very quickly? And I like that. I think there was a lot of good human elements here, even though there was a lot to unpack with Raven as a character and her mythology. So if you love Raven, I think this is going to be a perfect 5-star book for me, for you. But for me, since I'm not a huge Raven fan, this was still really good, but not a perfect issue for me, just because of my personal taste. So giving that 3.5 stars. Artwork was really fun. I like the cartoony nature, really fit. Honestly, the darker elements are actually a little brighter, which was, I thought, pretty cool as well. All right, moving on to number 4. And number 4 for me is Batman Superman World's Finest, issue 18. And this is the start of a new arc, and it's your run-of-the-mill. It's your origin story of, okay, how does Superman and Batman become friends? And again, this is, I guess, the theme of this week, but did it reinvent the wheel? No. But did I have a good time with it? Yeah, I think I had a pretty good time with it. There were some good moments between, I'd say, Clark and Bruce more than Superman and Batman that I enjoyed in this issue. And I like the ending. Batman gets stuck in the Phantom Zone, is very Silver Age, and it just feels like a nostalgic kick without relying too heavily on it. Just it resembles nostalgia with still telling a modern story with some splendid artwork here. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. All right, moving on to number 3, a book I got on whim, and that's Hollywood Special issue 1. I haven't been really reading the Dark Spaces books, but I like a good old Hollywood story, and the artwork was fantastic for this book. It was really bright, and still noir all at the same time. And we get to see this woman who, you know, everyone loves, but her family and her life is kind of falling apart. And then she has to be the hero in the end, and there's some weird stuff happening where there's this person who doesn't have a head. So you're like, oh, I want to see where this goes. And interestingly enough, I thought it was a one-shot, so I'm like, oh, I wonder where this story is going. And it seems like it's going to be a miniseries. Because when you hear special, you think, oh, this is going to be one issue because of comic language, but it's just the title of the book. I'm guessing it's probably a 4-issue miniseries. But I liked it. Definitely gave me enough to want to read more. I like this main character, and I like the vibe of the book. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. All right, moving on to number 2, a book I was most anticipating, and I gotta say I'm really excited to see where it goes, and that is the Cull issue 1. This is new Kelly Thompson book, and Madia de Luilis, I hope I pronounced their last name right, but I've been so excited for this book. I love both creators a lot, and I don't feel like they disappoint. People were saying it resembles a lot Stranger Things, Paper Girls. I'd say leaning even more towards Paper Girls. I don't know if it has the twist like the Apple product at the end of Paper Girls, but I like the ride. I like the way they introduced the characters. Almost felt like a show where you're like, okay, I'm getting a little information about everybody, and then you get introduced this imaginative world where the main character's brother might have gone lost, and they set up the pieces for that, and I liked it. I think the next issues are going to be even bigger, though. This almost feels like an issue 0 to the bigger moments of this book, but I can't wait to see where those moments go, because I think they built it up pretty nicely, and again, the artwork feels like a film, which is interesting because they're supposed to be filming a short here, a short film, and that doesn't end up happening in this issue. But overall, giving that 4 stars. I thought it was a really solid start, and curious to see where it's going to go. Moving on to my number 1 pick, again, I always say it's so obvious when this book comes out, it's going to be my number 1 pick, because I literally think it's the best comic books on stands right now, and that is Second Coming, Trinity issue 5, another slam dunk. And something I always say about this book too, it's very easy to get into because it feels connected to the previous issues, but they always do a good job, almost like a Silver Age job, at every issue could be someone's first. And we really get to see that here, where Jesus is trying to build his own church and tells them, hey, this is what a church should be, this is what a religion should be, and let's not commercialize it, all while our superhero's son is bringing chaos because he can't control his powers, and Jesus says the hard thing to them, saying, hey, maybe he shouldn't be here anymore. And obviously Sunstone, he gets upset at Jesus, so there's a little bit of conflict there, but I'm curious to see where it goes. Is the parents gonna be more of like, no, Jesus is right, I gotta do what's best for my son, or not? And obviously you could probably relate that to God's relationship with his own son, with Jesus, and yeah, there's a lot of interesting places this can go, and I think this issue did a great job at the philosophy of religion, all while tying into some really good superhero goodness. It's just every issue, I'm impressed, and I love it, and I just think it's an amazing book with some great artwork, and if you're not reading it, you really should. It's a really under-the-radar book that I think everyone should be checking out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what were your favorite books for the week, and last week, viewer's pick of the week was Miles Morales, and here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. I will say I don't think next week I'll have an episode, and if I do have an episode, it's going to be really late in the week, so I have a feeling I'll be skipping next week's, but I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll be back the week after for reviews. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.